Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, the new show by Amazon. I originally had a script for the article that they came out with, but then they released the trailer, and I got to a little bit of a beef, I guess you would say, online with some really just crazy people. Actually turned me off from making content for a second because I was like, wow, I don't even know if I want to be like a part of this franchise or fan base or the fantasy community, because some people are just out there to just be mad at people for no reason, and that's the conclusion that I came to. But it turned me off to wanting to like get online and talk about fantasy again, because I got it from both sides. I got it like racist people coming at me, and then I had people who were like screaming at the racist people, then yelling at me, and then I was like, okay, you know what, I'm done. Like I don't even want to talk about this anymore. But I got over that because I realized they were just two people on the internet that wanted to be mad about something, but I wasn't gonna let that get me down. But today we're gonna be breaking down this trailer, really cool stuff and things that you can speculate with after reading some of the Vanity Fair articles. So that's what I'm going to do for you guys today. So let's get into it. First shot we get is probably of Numenor here, one of the port cities. You can tell that this is sort of more of the man-made civilization sort of thing, especially with that statue that's in the background, very reminiscent in Lord of the Rings and the ancient bloodline of the Numenors. You can see that you have this like sun crest that's there, supposed to be like the crest of one of the kings in Numenor, so that's really interesting. I think that it's looking really good. I'm not really too particular on exactly how it all looks because we still have till September when it comes out, but Vanity Fair has come out and said that they have watched the first 3 episodes and they say they're pretty good. I get some people's speculation on why it might not be going so well because they gotten rid of one of their like Tolkienist people earlier on, but that was because he broke his NDA. It wasn't because like they didn't like him anymore, so now they just don't reveal the information of their like Tolkien expert people. But right here we see Numenor. I think it's looking really good. I like it so far, but I will say this: when it comes to the creative liberties that the showrunners do have over at the studio, I believe they are going to take some of those leaps and bounds that necessarily hardcore fans aren't going to like, but they're going to be doing certain things so that we can make connections between Lord of the Rings movie franchise and this. One of those is being the Hobbits. There are going to be Hobbits in this, but they're called Harfoots because they're not exactly in the Shire and all that sort of stuff. I believe they're going to be further north, if I can remember that correctly, and we'll talk about them in a second. Also wanted to say, when it comes to those leaps and bounds and liberties that the studio does have, they're going to be basically doing probably almost all of the Second Age. Maybe not, just maybe like key events, but they're going to make it more seem like those are all closer together rather than thousands of years, which this only makes sense because you like, if you did the thousands of years, characters would come and go and die and live and all of that, and you could do like a documentary version of all these sort of events, which I would love. Like, that would be awesome. Let's just like get lost in this thing for like hundreds and hundreds of hours, but they're not going to do that, right? I think they only have 50 hours to get like whatever they're going to be doing in Rings of Power. Like, we only have 50 hours to cover like probably some really crazy big events, and what's going to come with that is smashing together these timelines so that we don't have people alive and then dead like every other episode, because all the events are more spread out over 1,000 years. I totally get the why people would be upset about this, especially the more purists, and I think it's totally valid to be upset about that, but I think it's too early to make big judgments on whether the show is good or not, but it leaves good debate on like, okay, here's this adaptation. How is it true to the original work, but also how is it telling the story very well? We get this with the Wheel of Time show that I have discussed many times on this channel, and I think they could have done a better job with that, even though that I still think the TV show is done very well, or it's done decent. I gave it a 7.4 for the whole season, which is more generous than some people would give, but I'm more lenient on these things. So when you come to me and my channel and talking about fantasy, I'm a little bit more lenient. I'm not super hardcore, but when stuff does bother me, I will say it, and I understand other people's opinions. if they don't like it. Scream at me in the comments. Actually, no, please don't scream at me in the comments. I'm a very sensitive boy. Also wanted to say that I love the sort of voiceover that's going on. I believe it's one of the Hobbits that is giving this voiceover, and I think that it's great to have that in it. It's this, they talk about wonder and how there's wonder beyond our wonders, and going out and seeing the world, and we get later in the trailer with the hand of the wizard with the Hobbit, and that's like the story of like Lord of the Rings, right? It's these Hobbits going out into the world, and I think that's something that'll be very familiar for wider audiences, where Second Age is not necessarily, like, Hobbits don't really do anything, right, until like the Third Age with Bilbo and Frodo. But it's good to have this sort of touch point that like wider audiences will understand, and actually it makes me really excited for the storyline, because potentially this could be a character we have never seen before, and I'll get into that person later. Next shot we get though is of two nomads in Middle Earth, and I really actually just love this design. Obviously the landscape looks amazing, but these nomads have these giant antlers on their back, and I think it looks like really cool. It might be unnecessary and not necessarily like a true to lore sort of thing, but I think it's visually very telling. And when you come and adapt to a visual medium, you want to make sure your visuals look really cool, right? And that's where we get like the modern Hollywood action blow up crazy stuff happening with no purpose. But I hope that Lord of the Rings the Rings of Power find a good middle ground into that. Then we finally go to the next shot, which is probably of the Harfoot Hobbit there. I read from the article, here's what they had to say about these two characters: as two lovable, curious Harfoots played by Megan Richards and Markella Kavanagh encounter a mysterious lost man whose origins promise to be one of the show's most exciting enigmas. So this is very interesting, and it makes me think that this mysterious stranger could be a blue wizard. I got that from Nerd of the Rings when I was watching his breakdown, but I thought it was actually like really cool that they would do that, because I don't think they're going to bring the wizards in that we already know. I would love to get to know the other wizards, especially the blues, because we don't know a lot about them. So that would be really cool if we saw them and we had this little blue wizard journey with some hobbits. I love it all together. Also, something else that Nerd of the Ring said is that the Harfoots give him more of a like Peter Pan Lost Boys sort of vibe, which I could totally see that. But for me, I really like that because it makes me be in like awe and wonder, and I think they're really capturing that very well. They even say it in the trailer, right? I love the sort of look right here that they have, even though not a lot of people might like it. I like it because it gives me that awe, wonder, inspiring sort of thing that I want to have when I watch a Lord of the Rings or like Middle Earth kind of show. Next shot we get here is of the northern regions of Middle Earth. We get specifically this like cliff of ice sort of thing with the waterfall, and we have Galadriel, and she like sticks her dagger into the side of the cliff, and the dagger is basically modeled after the trees of Valinor, which I think is a really good touch, and we see her look up with this sort of adaptation of Galadriel, and especially with all the other like elven people, we're gonna get more of warriors here, where we see in like the movies, we get brief glimpses of elves being like these warriors, but they're more in the Third Age. They're like retired, right? They're retired and they just want to go home eventually. But in the Second Age, we're gonna get these warrior type elves, and it's shown a lot with Galadriel right here. We even get a picture of her in her armor, and the depiction says that she is a commander of the northern armies. So we're gonna get these warrior elves rather than these like elegant elves we get in the movies. That's probably not exactly lore based, right? But I think Amazon's gonna try to like differentiate themselves from the movies, but still give familiarity. And that's one of the things here, that the elves are gonna be a little bit more active. They're gonna be these warriors, that sort of thing. And Galadriel is on a mission to basically avenge her brother, who we'll see later in the trailer, against these dark forces and stuff like that, and she will run into some trouble. So we get more of Galadriel warrior here rather than like very elegant and basically like godlike, right? Next shot we get here is of Halard, who is this mortal. He's a man, and he is going to be accompanying Galadriel during her sort of endeavors, and they get swept away at sea on this raft together. I have a feeling that he is going to be playing more of this like Aragorn type role, maybe not all the way where it's like Return to the King, right? But he's going to be this like mortal with the long hair and stuff like that. That's sort of reminiscent of this Aragorn character. If you see his picture from the article, I'm like definitely get Aragorn vibes here, but he has this past that he's like running away from, and it's like catching up to him and stuff like that. That's what they explained in the article, but he'll be accompanying Galadriel while they do whatever they're going to do. But I have a feeling he's going to be more of our like Aragorn looking kind of like character. Then we get another original character who is Elven. His name is Arendir. I think that's how you say that. He's an original character as well to the show, and he has this sort of like forbidden love sort of storyline with a mortal woman, and you know that's like especially a Tolkien sort of storyline here. So even though they're original characters and not necessarily from the books or lore or anything like that, they are playing into these Tolkien-like sort of stories that we're very familiar with and that wider audiences and fans will be familiar with. Now, fans that are more in-depth than I am, they could probably tell me like, and I would totally understand this criticism, is that Tolkien has probably thousands and thousands of characters in his lore, so why not just pick one of those and do something with it? I would totally get that sort of criticism. You guys let me know who know more about Tolkien and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, because I do not, and I'm willing to be humbled by any sort of opinion that's more esteemed than me. No, I don't think that's the right word. Who knows more than me? So if there are other characters that they totally could have used, then that would have made more sense. You guys let me know. Next shot we get is of this meteor thing coming down to Earth, and like I explained earlier, this could be that blue wizard we are going to see later in this trailer. I'm just going to say it's a blue wizard because I don't think they could do Gandalf or anybody else. The blue wizards came to Middle Earth before anybody else, before the rest of the Maiar, so I think it's totally one of these blue wizards. I'm hoping so, and it would be so cool. So I think this meteor is coming down is representing one of the Maiar coming down to the realm, which probably is not lore accurate, but I think it's visually really cool to show off how like they're coming from the heavens down meteorite into the earth, and it looks like the hobbits are going to find him, and I think that's going to be really cool. But you guys, you let me know what you think this sort of scene right here is. Is it the blue wizard? What's going on here? We'll see him later on. The next shot we get, of course, will make Tolkienists very happy, and me as well. It's going to be of Gil-galad, who is a very important character in the Second Age. He's in the movie for a little bit of the Second Age sort of backstory at the beginning when they're fighting against Sauron, but here he's going to be a very important character, King of Linden, I believe, the Elven kingdom of Linden, and he is going to be playing this really crucial role. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be doing in the Second Age. Again, we get Galadriel outside of probably after she climbed up whatever cliff this was in the north, and I don't know, they're probably looking for something, and she runs across an ice troll, which is really interesting kind of design. Actually gives me more of like Witcher sort of vibes and feels, but I'm glad it's just something that's a little bit different from what we've always seen, right? Or from what we've been seeing for the past 20 years in visual adaptations of the Lord of the Rings. So I'm glad to see something a little bit different. It's a little witchery for me, which is kind of weird, but I can't wait till that full scene comes out so we can see like what exactly is going on with this whole thing. But that's an ice troll right there, and then they're obviously running away from this thing. Next shot, nothing really much to talk about, at least for me. We see this like elven procession going on. People might be like being knighted or something like that, or they're about to go on a mission, or they just came back from a mission and like reporting what's happening. I don't really know what's going on here. Looks cool. Some elves, some knights. I don't know what's going on. It looks great. After that, we get Prince Durin the Fourth in the realm of Khazad-dûm. I'm really excited about this because we're gonna see the glory of what these halls were, and exactly how the Dwarven kingdom looked over here. I'm very interested in how much they're going to pull from representation of The Hobbit and sort of Peter Jackson's dwarves in this one. I think they're going to be pulling a lot, obviously, but I remember watching all of those appendices for The Hobbit. Peter Jackson talked about how he made the dwarves his. Like, there wasn't like too much that he could pull from Tolkien, so like he just like went all out on the dwarves, like kind of how Tolkien went all out on the elves. Like he went all out on these dwarves and did a lot of designs and different things and pulling from other inspiring works. So I wonder how much Amazon is going to be taking from what we've seen visually, and then also doing their own thing. But we see Prince Durin here, sort of concerned, looking off, not really knowing what's going on. It says in the article that the 3 main places will be taking place is in Numenor, the Misty Mountains, and some elven kingdoms, I believe. So those are mainly where we're going to be focusing and where our characters are going to be. So stuff that's going to be going on in the Misty Mountains that isn't all that great for the dwarves. Next, we get short-haired Elrond, which has been sort of a point of contention for some fans, or I don't know, maybe that's like too strong of a word, but has been a point of controversy to the fans. But Elrond, I think he looks really cool here. It's actually the guy that played Eddard Stark in Game of Thrones, the younger Eddard Stark. And I actually like the look. Like I said before, I think Amazon is going to try to differentiate between the mature, older, elegant elves in the Third Age that are like post-war, don't want to fight in any wars anymore, and the warrior sort of elves in the Second Age. They explained that Elrond right now is a very ambitious political figure, and I think that's something that really has to do with it. That's going to differentiate himself from the movies and adaptation Elrond to this sort of Elrond. They're all these warriors or political figures, and they're all like ambitious, trying to do all of these things. So I think that's more of what's going on here, and I don't think the short hair is too much of a problem for me. You know, it probably is. Tolkienist can let me know, like, is this a really big thing that he's like, that like cutting your hair is a symbol of something, or they just like, they normally just grow out their hair of this like elegant sort of look? You guys let me know. I don't really have that big of a problem with it right now. I just care if the story's good, but we'll have to wait and see for that. We see him probably in Khazad-dûm with Durin and Disa, which I'll get to Disa in a second. And yeah, he's traveling. I don't really know what's going on here, so we'll just have to wait for the show to see what's going on, or maybe another trailer to give more context of what's happening right now. We get a quick shot of the dwarven princess Disa, like I explained. I think I've heard that this is her like singing right here, or something's going on. It wouldn't be a Tolkien project without some singing breaks or poem breaks, so this would be great to see here. And I wonder, it's like, something's really going wrong in sort of this kingdom, and they're like mourning somebody or something. I don't really know what's going on, but we see her here, and I totally get the criticism from fans because we have been led to believe that these dwarven women have beards. She doesn't really have a beard. She might have a little bit on the sides. We can't really see all that well, but from this shot, it doesn't look like she has anything, which I get why fans are upset about. You know, we want to have women with these full beards going on, but I guess Amazon decided to shy away from that detail. Next shot is of Galadriel and Hallard, who are on this raft here, and he pulls back her hair to see if she's like an elf or not. Nerd of the Ring said something along the lines of how they could possibly do like the Witcher kind of vibes, even though that wouldn't make sense for the Lord of the Rings, which he goes on to explain. And I don't think he thinks that's what it is. At least I don't either. I think it's more that she is a very big political figure, and she is trying to like keep her head down on things, and she ends up getting washed away at sea with him on this raft, and he more figures out her identity when she might want to keep it more secret, right? Because after this scene probably here, they're going to be landing at the port city in Numenor that we have already seen, and we actually have a picture of her like coming out of the water. So like if she was on that raft, why would she need to come out of the water, right? I think she's trying to keep things secret and doesn't want to get found out by the king here in Numenor, just like lay low. So she probably hops off the raft and like goes into the water and secretly just goes off somewhere without Hallard seeing her. So I don't know, we'll have to see with that, but it makes me think that whatever's happening here, she's been attacked, she's trying to lay low, so that's why all of this is happening, not like men hate elves or anything like that. I don't think that's what's going on. Finally, we get to Meteorite Man, who is basically surrounded by flame, and we see this like hobbit probably coming up and reaching after him, all of this like crazy stuff going on around him. But you could definitely get a good look at his body and face here. You could tell, all right, this is like a wizard kind of figure. Like, I really hope it's not Gandalf, because you can't replace Ian McKellen, but you know, it would be really interesting if it was one of the blue elves like I talked about. But we see this swirling action, we see the swirling fire around them as this hobbit is reaching out for this mysterious person. I don't really have that much of an opinion on the next few shots, but we see the dwarves breaking the stone. There's a locked up elven guy trying to escape. By the architecture and things going on and the weapon that he has, that he got captured by orcs, so he's probably like trying to escape from whatever they have. I don't really know who this is right here, but it looks like that he might be escaping some kind of like orc encampment or something. The next shot people really liked. Here we get to see Galadriel's brother, who is probably about to die in this scene, and they're surrounded by orcs, and in the background you can see that there's this like fiery thing going on. Nerd of the Rings brought up that it'd be really awesome if we could see Balrogs in the battling in like live time, which I think would be super awesome. Like, I would love to see that. We don't really know or confirm that that's a Balrog or not, but we should see a few dragons and Balrogs and crazy things happening at certain points in this show, especially if they're going to do like more of a backstory sort of setup of the First Age. We should see glimpses of these crazy wars that sort of happened, so that would be really super awesome to see. Then the last shot we get here is of a bigger hand, and it looks like wizard type of clothing, and this smaller hand, and it just brings together of the hobbits and this wizard coming together in whatever journey they're gonna have. The article on Vanity Fair actually said that this is like an enigma. It's going to sort of be like out of the way of all the main storylines, but I have a feeling that this blue wizard is going to have some role to play when it comes to the bigger things that are going to go on in the world, which is going to probably have to take a lot of creative liberties. You guys let me know what you think, if this is the blue wizard with a hobbit and they're going to see like the bigger world and all the crazy things going on. What parts did you like about this trailer? Maybe what parts you didn't like as much? I would love to talk about it in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.